Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Signal Hour. So good to be back with you. Chris and Evie Martinson here with you today. On a couple minute delay, cow stuff on the farm. Yes, cows sometimes have issues, and so we were scrambling around. Evie was out there trying to take care of them.
I'll tell you all about it.
Will you? You gonna tell you?
Yeah, I'll tell you all. No, I won't tell you all about it.
No,
It's
because
really gross.
no, this is
You don't wanna
this
hear
is family friendly, except for the stuff we're going to be talking about, which is definitely not all that friendly. Wow, things are heating up, things are speeding up. If only there had been some way of understanding how systems speed up towards the end. Evie, yeah, we're we're at that part of the story where everything's going faster and faster, and we're seeing what I call deflective behaviors around this, right? So deflective behavior, when you see two cats, they're getting ready to fight,
Mhm.
and then they both decide they have to lick their ass, at the same time, right?
Hey, this is family
Oh
friendly.
yeah, I forgot about that. No, I already told you. We dropped that within seconds. That got left on the cutting room floor. But no, there's these deflective behaviors, and we're going to talk about some of those today.
Right,
Okay.
You can see them in animals for sure. I'm sure
Well,
humans have them
yeah.
too, huh?
No, we get stressed, and then we just do weird things, like we attack inanimate objects, or
Right.
um,
Throw soup on paintings.
we glue our hands to roads, decide we're other genders, all kinds of things, just to take our minds off the fact that things are getting a little dicey and getting a little scary out there, and it's sort of a coping mechanism. So hey, yeah, and by the way, it was just cow stuff. Just how it is.
If you have cows, you know.
If you know, you know. All right, here's where we're going to get started today. A lot to go through today. Leftist raging and Bondi not arresting. We got to talk about that real quick, some of that stuff. So can we talk about the Tesla terrorism real quick here? Tesla terrorism. Well, so we're seeing more and more and more and more of these things here where, well, you see Elon in front of a broken window, but that was a demonstration when they were first showing the first Cybertruck, and this beta male, I don't know if you remember, he threw a ball at the end and it broke the window. So they went back and fixed the windows. That's
actual attacks. Like this is
but the rest of this is actual attacks. So it's the Teslas themselves, right? We're seeing that. But the charging stations.
Really?
Yeah, you check this one out. Go ahead, read that one out, would you?
This is from Libs of TikTok. It says a masked man vandalized a Tesla location in South Carolina with spray painting writing Trump and long live Ukraine. He then set charging stations on fire with Molotov cocktails and accidentally set himself on fire too.
Oops.
The suspect is still at large.
And extra crispy. I mean, yeah. So, but oh, sorry. You are so right. You are so right. Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. So,
okay, should I read it again?
Yeah, read that again.
All right.
Because that was beep. Start over.
It says a masked man vandalized a Tesla location in South Carolina with spray paint writing F Trump and long live Ukraine. He then set charging stations on fire with Molotov cocktails and accidentally set himself on fire too. The suspect is still at large.
All right. So how do we connect these dots here?
Good question.
How do we begin to connect these dots? I think you're going to want to get your
Yeah, I know. This wire doesn't work for me.
You got to work that out.
No, yeah. I don't have a suit jacket always like you boys do.
I know. We'll have to maybe you get one of those.
And I got long hair.
Just clip to that or something. So I know the struggle is real.
It is.
But I mean, to connect these dots here, F Trump, long live Ukraine, and of course we're going to attack a Tesla charging station to make our point. That's what's passing now for this is a deflective behavior. This is if you're trying to analyze it and connect the dots and make sense of it, you won't be able to because it doesn't cleanly connect, right? And of course, my larger view of this is that there is fifth generation warfare running. There are routines out there that signal to people where they should swim next in terms of the next current thing they're supposed to be violently angry and emotional about. Is it Black Lives Matters? Is it Ukraine? Is it I hate Trump now? Is it Nazis? And at no point in time do they actually begin to connect back to their own actions. It's like really so So you're mad about how to, looking at this, Evie, I'm mad about Nazis. Well, what is it about Nazis? Well, they were these intolerant pricks, and then they harmed people.
Mhm.
So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to attack things
A
and wreck
charging
them.
station.
I'm going to wreck things to show you how mad I am about that. I'm not going to try and build a better society. I'm going to wreck stuff.
And the funny part is that hopefully my mic's okay. I saw a couple things saying that it might not be yet, but
No,
let me know if it's not. But
no, it's on. See, that's you right there.
okay, great. But that they actually believe that they're hurting Trump or Musk by doing these things, and really they're just crippling their own neighbors that have purchased vehicles that require this.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
There's no real logic to it.
well, here's a connection Earl Coley just developed for us, which is Ukraine was the location of the cyber attack on X, it says here.
Really?
Well, we just had those big outages,
Yeah.
which were personally terrifying. Because where else are we going to find the signal? By the way, the signal hours, the signal within the signal. That's if it wasn't for X, I wouldn't know what's going on in the world right now. X is the source of all information, and it's unfiltered, right? I get to choose. I read stuff. Some of it's BS, a lot of it's real, but it's viscerally real. It's what people are thinking. There's some great content on there, and I get to decide rather than CBS, NBC, ABC, NPR deciding for me what they think my pretty little head can handle and not handle in the narrative framing. So I'm a free speech kind of guy. And by the way, this current administration has a few things they're doing that I consider anti-free speech, which is no good. I'm a super free speech advocate.
I hope you're going to get into that.
Well, if you say something that hurts my feelings, that's my fault, my problem. Really, it is. It is. So
Sure.
that's
But you
how
were
I see
saying
it.
this administration.
Well, this administration has started to make anti-Semitism, anti-speech laws, which it's not okay. It's just not
that's
okay.
weird.
Okay. You're either for free speech or you're not. That's just how that goes.
Yeah.
All right. So we had that. So as a reminder, we went through this stuff called stochastic terrorism for a while ago. I just want to bring it back to the fore because we're going through it. I warned this was going to be a thing. And for those who haven't seen it, stochastic terrorism is a form of political violence. It's instigated by hostile public rhetoric aimed at a group or an individual, right? So it's indirect, it's vague, coded language, right? Blah, blah, blah. The key element is it uses media for propagation. This is all old news. We showed you all the stuff on Reddit, which was just like this is back when Reddit was really angry about about the kids who were with Elon investigating stuff in the government.
That's
so this
right.
is back when they wanted
Doge.
guillotines for the young Doge youngsters. I think they've moved on. The Reddit rage has moved on to the next thing. Yeah, they get to the next thing pretty darn quick.
Yeah, they sure do. And things just go down the rabbit hole, never to be talked about again.
Yep.
Which is frustrating if you like the ending to stories, right?
Yep.
I like to know how things work themselves out, but
look, they were doxing these young kids, their parents, where they lived.
I remember that.
Remember?
Was that just last week?
Yeah, it was like so
Or
last
2
week
weeks
ago. So
ago?
we're gonna bring it. We're bringing it back into the fold because it was so long ago, right? And we knew that a U.S. attorney
Said,
Ed Martin, was going to be looking into these people.
That's right.
Do
you want me?
No, this is just
Okay.
this is just review. And remember, this is where it started though. This is just a few weeks ago. Elon Musk belongs in prison. Stochastic terrorism. They're putting up pictures of guillotines. They're saying he belongs somewhere apart from his head. So that was then.
Yikes.
This is now. This is how these things connect.
And this says multiple Tesla vehicles were destroyed in Seattle in suspected arson. There have been multiple fire bombings and shootings of Tesla stores in the last month. The far left are urging attacks, knowing that Democrats will look away. And I guess that's a video. Are you going to play a video or no?
I didn't capture that
okay.
video. I have a video. Well, I have one that probably is almost the same place. Probably from anyway. But
that's insane, though.
Well, they're violent. This violence has been very real. Remember BLM, George Floyd riots.
I do.
Remember how the thing that's extra disappointing to me is the progressives are like, we care so much about George Floyd's life that we're going to burn down. How about these poor people's stores? over here in this black part of town.
Their grocery
never-
stores,
Yeah,
their
they
drug
never
stores.
go to the country club and burn that down, right? Surprise,
Yeah.
because the police would actually stop that and not allow that to happen. So it's just really weird, though.
It is weird.
They attack themselves like it makes no sense to me,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, it feels very immature in terms of psychological development, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I remember I was in college and this happened to my dorm. There were some guys that were mad, and I don't know who exactly they were mad at, but they decided that it was a good idea to rip all the plumbing out of the boys' bathroom, which was their boys' bathroom, which meant they then had no place to shower or do anything else. And it was so bad. I mean, it cost us our dorm. Basically, they shut it down and sent us all to other dorms because of this destruction. And so I don't know, these people remind me of that. It's an immature way of expressing oneself.
Yeah. And Infineon says stochastic terrorism, much better description than psyops, provides subtext. It does. It I think it provides a really useful frame for what's happening because it explains how you go from a lot of angry words on Twitter and Reddit and Instagram to this.
Mm-hmm.
So here was another charging station just got burned. So
Jeez.
this
And these
Even
are
look at this-
expensive too.
at
Like
this-
this isn't cheap.
no
Infrastructure.
dealerships smashed. I'm gonna smash. I'm so angry. Smash this. Right? All right. Here's your. Oh nope. These are just vehicles vandalized, so they're getting spray painted.
Wow. If they're a Tesla.
Yeah. Dude, I struck a blow for freedom. I put a big red X on a Tesla. Get it? They're so clever. All right. But this.
More mental illness. All right.
All right. Let's talk stochastic terrorism. This one made the rounds. This came out on March 9th.
All right. And it says, I saw a Cybertruck in my city for the first time yesterday. It made my blood boil. I had to resist the urge to follow the guy into the mall parking lot and kick the shit out of him. That's how I feel about supporting Elon.
Okay. I think we've jumped the shark
Wow.
on that one. I mean, let's consider this for a second. So I'm not positive, but I would guess that just a matter of months ago, whoever this gentleman is, and I have a mental image of who this is, and he's not all that buff, but I might be wrong. You never know. Could be a gym rat. We don't know. But I would bet just a few months ago, this guy had a positive view of Teslas
Mm-hmm.
because they were EVs saving the world.
That's right. The climate change narrative,
Mhm.
they fit right in.
And the person driving that thing would have also had that transference
Mm-hmm.
of that positivity by extension, maybe a little fist pump, maybe a little, yo, dude, we're on the same team. Yeah, I drink out of paper straws. We're the same.
Look at me.
Yeah. Ooh. And it's gone to this very quickly. We noted this. Remember, we were talking about stochastic terrorism. Normally you go from, I'm slightly aggrieved to a little bit angry to something to resentful. This guy's going straight to, I want to kick the shit out of that person driving that thing. That's how much I hate Elon. It's like, where did the other driver come into this exactly? What exactly happened here?
Wow.
How
Feels
do you
like
go from here to there that quickly?
Well, it can't actually be about this at all. I don't think it is. I think people are upset about something else. They have to
Okay.
be. It
But what?
doesn't make any sense. But what?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's a huge laundry list of things they could be upset about. They could be mad about how much money they pay for their groceries every week. They could be mad about
All right.
the fact that their landlord's raising their rent. They could
Okay.
be, I have a huge list of things I imagine they could
I
be
know you
upset
don't
about.
have anger issues, but give me a list of things that would cause your blood to boil and make you feel like you had to kick the shit out of somebody right on the spot.
I saw somebody hurting an animal or a child.
Mhm.
That would make me feel that way.
Okay.
It'd have to be like in my face.
But it would have to be something that where you could existentially feel like this is a moral abomination. Like there's something happening here that's wrong,
Hmm.
and you have to right it. And the way you right it is by kicking the shit out of the perpetrator. This guy wants to kick the shit out of somebody driving a Tesla.
That has no connection to Elon.
Probably not. Good chance. You buy a car. We got a Nissan. I've never met the CEO. It happens.
Right.
It's a thing. All right. Well, anyway, just hold that into frame. But he wasn't done. Coffee Time News had more to say, followed up with this.
I'm not kidding. It crossed my mind. Then I thought, about just putting a rock through the windshield while it was charging at Limmeridge Mall. Maybe next time.
Yeah. How
Okay.
about that? Okay. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Totally serious, man. I
Mhm.
was ready to be violent. That's how you know I'm a good person.
Do you want me to read the one below?
I thought
The
it was
response
a
to it?
useful response. I
All
thought
right.
Official King
All right.
ETH got it
He-
right.
The response to that is, what a plebe. Imagine calling another grown man a Nazi and imagining beating up another human and thinking at the same time that you're actually justified and correct.
And tagged,
I find retards.
which has been a great account. If you don't follow that, you might want to take a look. But no, this is a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like this level of progressive violence, whatever we want to call it. So they're getting very angry. Very, very angry.
Yeah.
Very angry. Very angry.
Wow.
Whole lots full of like do we not, I guess, is this helping climate change somehow? Is this
What a waste of resources.
total waste of resources?
That's really
absolutely.
sad.
Actually, I consider it terrorism. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, we live in a culture now where people have been arrested for silently praying.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a culture where people have been arrested and jailed for releasing the idea that we have insecure election systems, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have the FBI had actually characterized people who raised their voices at PTA meetings, where they were largely doing things like wanting to expose their children to pornography in these people's minds,
Mm-hmm.
as terrorists. So the word terrorism got kind of lost, right? Terrorism's a noun and we fight it. Like we're such a stupid people. We fight nouns. But anyway, it was a thing. And then it got, mission creep, right? A terrorist used to be somebody who blew somebody up with a suicide vest and it became an angry person at a PTA meeting. So I think it's maybe overused, but if we were going to have it and call it back into use, I think this matters.
You put it here.
Yeah, look, Marjorie Taylor Greene, finally.
She says attacks on Tesla must be investigated as domestic terrorism. Today, my Doge committee colleagues and I sent a letter to Pam Bondi and Director Kash Patel asking for an investigation into the wave of organized attacks targeting Elon Musk, Tesla, and the Doge effort.
Yeah,
and I guess that's a letter down there.
Yeah, you can't read that, but a bunch of people signed it. But the point is that we were supposed to get like these new people in, Kash and Pam, and they were going to come in and we're going to have this whole new thing. And I haven't heard Kash. Is he even working anymore? Like he's
you haven't heard anything?
Gone silent. And I understand big job, got to figure some stuff out, but this is the kind of thing where, so what she's referring to here, organized attacks, there have been strong indications that these aren't entirely organic, that there have been paid monies coming in to organize these things. It's like
the bricks, like the pallets of bricks.
Yes. So the whole idea that suddenly people just organically decide from Seattle to France that Teslas are the things you have to destroy and burn.
Right. That's the symbol.
It's not organic.
No.
So you can investigate that, and at minimum, I expect Kash Patel to come out and say, we're looking into this. And if we find something, everybody responsible is going to prison.
Yeah, who's supposed to be the spokesperson that deals with that kind of stuff?
Well,
would that be him?
Yeah.
Like, would he just have a press conference and say, all right, guys, that's enough?
Legs under him and everything, but I'm getting a little antsy here because this is easy. This is easy. People smashing and destroying and burning stuff. Plenty of crimes, easy to understand. No argument about it. We don't have to go, well, under some circumstances.
Right.
There's no question about it. Right. This is easy.
Are the left-leaning, bureaucrats and wherever this is happening, are they just looking the other way?
I looked.
What's happening as a result of this?
But I used Grok, and Grok couldn't help me either. 0 Democrats have said anything about the Tesla attack so far.
That's surprising.
But not, right?
Yeah.
Surprising,
I mean, it's disappointing, I guess. Could you scroll down a little so I can see those comments?
Sure.
Just want to track what everybody's talking about over here in the chat.
Yeah. All paid for with our taxes.
That's frustrating.
Joe Schmo saying something that I listen, I'm not all the way there yet myself. The Kash Patel's a lying, grifting fraud. I'm not there, but I'm starting to get a little concerned. And by the way, Evie, Health Ranger Mike Adams. He did it well. He's renamed it to the
Gulf of no one has been arrested yet.
Yep, that's what we're gonna call it now. We're gonna call it the Gulf of no one's been arrested yet.
Oh, I love it. That's funny. Oh, that's sad though. I mean, we came out, it seemed like there might have been a change, you know, and the
Well-
entrenched bureaucracy of permanent Washington, which has
gonna have-
become a global effort, by the way.
They're gonna have to
was-
get on it quick.
I know.
We're go-
I'm just disappointed.
Well,
We had such good momentum.
and I think there's still some awesome things happening, but if we don't have, let's be very clear about this, if we don't have accountability, if we don't have arrests, nothing changes. And this
Yeah.
was all just kabuki theater, full stop, guaranteed. But it's a hop and a skip and a jump because, you know, there's both the appearance of law and the reality of law. The appearance is just as important as the reality. The reality is we have an even-handed application of law. The appearance is it looks like it applies equally to everybody. It's very clear we have a two-tier justice system. It's very clear that some people get aggressively charged with things and other people, nothing at all. The Epstein list would be an example of that. Where's the P. Diddy tapes, you know? But beyond that, there's all kinds of frauds and scams and grifts and illegalities that have just been exposed at the DC level. And you can't just sort of shrug and say, let's let bygones be bygones. Let's move past that. Because when you try and do that, it doesn't happen. It's a hairball that gets caught in the nation's throat. The JFK murder was like that. We all know that wasn't a lone gunman from a book repository. Like, we all know that. You know that, I know that. And so can we just finally look at that and admit that? You know, what's the holdup? Oh, well, there might be national security involved. Well, if there was, then that needs to be exposed because there shouldn't have been, right?
Right.
That's just exact. But we
Ethnicity says Gulf of zero accountability.
the Gulf of zero accountability. Yeah, the whole Gulf is like 1 inch deep. You know, it's just not a. Anyhow, get off my low horse. So, but this is what I saw. You know, today's March 12th, but on March 10th, Pam Bondi said, "Oh, I'm so proud.
I'm so proud of my amazing friend Sean Curran. Is that how you say it?
I don't know.
Who was sworn in today as director of U.S. Secret Service.
Yep. Great.
And you said, nobody cares about who you're proud of, Pam Bondi. We care about the JFK, MLK, RFK, Epstein, and Diddy files and videos and other evidence of crimes. TikTok.
Well, that's how I feel
You
about
mean
it.
business.
No, I do. I'm dead serious about this because without that accountability, nothing changes.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's time to change stuff. And that's what the vote was about. That's what I think the mandate was about. It's like, can we just change this finally? There needs to be accountability. As I said in the movie National Treasure, the ending scene with Harvey Keitel,
Mm-hmm.
Ben, somebody's got to go to prison, right? See, somebody does. Somebody
Yeah,
does.
it's true.
All right, let's move on. I have a whole segment I put together for today, Evie, called Dude. That didn't help.
I can't wait.
All right, so
Let's go.
So the first thing in this episode sequence is, remember Stacey Abrams. We find out that somehow $7 billion got thrown out the window.
Right at the last
Right
minute.
at the last minute to an NGO that just fired up like the prior April, like billions. And they were trying to make sense of that. So they find Chris Hayes on MSNBC is going to interview her, and they're going to say, look, we're going to explain this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I filed this next segment under Dude. That didn't help anything. Okay. Listen to the explanation for how these billions make sense.
One of the ironies of the attack on you, and I'm going to play what he did, was that my understanding is that the program at the source of this whole thing is a program to lower costs for people. Do I have that top line correct?
You have it absolutely right.
Okay, so I'm gonna play what he had to say.
Dude, this was just a program to help people save costs.
Duh.
How could you pause? I'm just gonna put that little he has this best punch me face on for that one, that little smile, like
A little smirky.
we can all agree. How bad could that be?
And then I'm going to ask you to explain what the program is that was such an obvious,
I hate
ludicrous
these brown
laugh
nosers.
line for the Republicans there. Take a listen.
$1.9 billion to recently created Decarbonization of Homes Committee, headed up, and we know she's involved. Just at the last moment, the money was passed over by a woman named Stacey Abrams. Have you ever heard of her?
Okay, so what is this organization? What is your relation to it, and what does it do?
In 2023 and 2024, I led a program called Vitalizing DeSoto. We worked in a tiny town in South Georgia to demonstrate that by replacing energy inefficient appliances with efficient appliances, you can lower your cost. And in fact, we accomplished that. For 75% of the community, they got appliances that are lowering their bills right now. We had one woman who saw her electric bill cut in half from $180 to $98. That's what we delivered. And based on that program, a coalition of organizations.
Whoa. Back this up 1 second.
By replacing energy inefficient 24, I led a program called Vitalizing DeSoto. We worked in a tiny town in.
Oh, okay. I just
Vitalizing DeSoto.
I just searched it. Evie, can you tell us what the population of DeSoto is here?
Yeah, let's look at this. Are you pulling it up on the screen for them?
It's highlighted right for you there.
All right. We're reading off of
Just
Wikipedia.
read
It
the
just says the
highlighted part.
population was 214. What? Is that right?
214. So, okay. All right. So they went into a town of 214 people. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's carry on.
South Georgia to demonstrate that by replacing energy inefficient appliances with efficient appliances, you can.
They use the word plural, appliances. No more than 214 though at tops. But that's the population. So that's 100 households. So we're talking like a max
100
fridges,
refrigerators.
but I bet they didn't replace all of them. So
lower your cost. And in fact, we accomplished that for 75% of the community.
okay, that would be 75 households. Let's just be clear about
And she
this.
got how much money for this stuff?
70. This is
They got
there.
appliances that are lowering their bills right now. We had one woman who saw her electric bill cut in half from $180 to $90.
One woman.
Wow. N
had
of
her-
one.
Had her bill cut by $90.
That's what we delivered. And based
That's what
on
we
that
delivered.
program, a coalition of organizations, famous organizations, came together and said to the EPA, if we can do this here, we can do this for millions more Americans. Let us invest the money of America in lowering the cost for Americans. And the EPA said, okay.
Oh God.
Don't we
Okay.
already have this on like
All right.
our appliances? It says you saved this much.
So if the EPA, they already have these things. We have them in my state. If you can get a rebate or you can get some sort of incentive to swap out appliances. Never, ever would it ever happen in a non-grifty, non-corrupt, non-shithole third world country sort of a situation where I would be able to go, hey, we have Evie, we have 700 households here in Chester, Mass. You know what? I saved 75% of them $15, and I would get a $7 billion grant from the government to just do more of that because proof of concept has happened.
Yeah, that's some BS right there.
Yeah, no,
That's some BS.
the proof of concept here was we gave some appliances for free to Democrats in a small Georgia town, and they voted more heavily for us in the next election.
Mhm.
Can we have $7 billion?
Mm-hmm. Oh, you bet that's what it's about.
Yeah, you bet.
They got to get creative now. They're running out of ways to
This was
cheat.
Yep, this is just by the votes. $7 billion because they saved $100 off of one electric bill
That's insane. Isn't that
in
insane?
one house in rural Georgia. So I'm thinking to myself, nah, that definitely didn't do the trick. Sorry, this is what they kept all day. They were like, how do we explain this to people? And this is the best. This is the best they could come up with right here.
And then Trump attacks. By the way,
Yes.
that other video didn't really look real. It looked weird. The video you played of Trump and the people behind him with JD Vance
I don't know what
that he was addressing.
when he played that video. Yeah, I don't
When
know.
you played that video of him, it looked kind of funkadoo. I don't know why.
So you know that there's swirly internet rumors about Lady Gaga, and you know she hangs out with Marina Abramovich. They do the spirit cooking stuff,
Oh, I hadn't
and
heard.
she's and Lady Gaga's always like using occult symbology.
Mhm.
So she gets on Saturday Night Live, and they thought, here's how we will defuse that situation for people, and we're gonna have a skit about that Lady Gaga's going to be in, and they're at Friendlies, and here's that skit.
When you lie about a birthday at Friendly's, you must pay the ultimate price.
Sin! 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 Oh, steady me, indica me, bring us the Lord.
You haven't seen this yet.
Behold the summoner, behold Lamasto.
Lamacho!
Lamasto, Lamasto has seen through you.
Oh, great! Now they've summoned Lamash too. Now drink! Drink of the blood of Lamash too! Guys,
Just drink the blood, Jenny. It's free. Relax.
drink! 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 Now you are rebaptized by the Mother of Beasts, the Mistress of Insanity. The magician Pazuzu cannot save you now. Heed the roar of the demon dog!
Okay, and it goes on. From
What
there.
in the heck kind of a skit is that?
So, do you think did that help diffuse the situation, or did that probably maybe not help?
I don't think it helped.
Dude, I don't think that helped.
Do you guys think it helped?
Yeah, you guys, did that help?
Wow. Okay. That was bizarre. That was just ew. I didn't need that.
Anyway, so it's
Gross.
anyway, they got an issue there.
They used to be funny. Skits used to be funny.
I know.
What happened to humor? It's gone. It died.
I know. Remember, we were just looking at one the other day, which was Dave Chappelle as Black Bush. Those were good.
That would never fly now.
Never, but welcome to today. So let's turn now to this, where Europe is not just on a slippery slope. I've decided Europe's now on a frictionless slope.
I
Right?
like that.
This is crazy. Let's listen in. This is the beginning of the end. I am so sorry for everybody who lives in Europe. If this comes true, and it looks like it's gathering steam and it's going to happen,
Condolences.
I'm so sorry, because as soon as you get programmable central bank digital currencies, what's going to happen next is your ability to resist the ideology of the totalitarianism will be zero. You won't be able to resist anymore, because if you protest, you're going to find your money no longer works, and it's been eliminated, and you will be mark of the beast out of society. You will no longer be able to trade or conduct business, right? You are bad girl, bad boy. Off you go. This is pretty bad, and it's coming.
On your second point, I tend to share your views. Nature doesn't like vacuum. And we started working on the digital euro way back. Actually, when I started my term 5.5 years ago. And I'm not claiming, parentality on the digital euro, because my colleague Benoît Cœuré had already committed a speech on this matter before I arrived. But I certainly carried on with that project, and subsequently Fabio Panetta on the board, and then Piero Cipollone, who has replaced Fabio, have taken the lead together with a very, very good team, which is focused on accelerating the pace and hopefully campaigning enough with all the stakeholders, meaning European Parliament, meaning European Council, meaning European Commission, so that we can eventually, not put to bed, but put to reality this digital euro. The deadline for us is going to be October.
Okay. October of 2025. It gives you real-time transaction tracking, potential for payment blocking, automatic tax deductions, restrictions on cash withdrawals, and programmable money with expiration dates. That's it. That's all. It's over. It's all done.
Oh, that's awful.
That's it. Freedom, gone.
Yeah.
All
RFK
done.
Jr. said that.
All done.
CBDCs is like the end.
Yeah, you and I had a chance to have lunch with him way before I think he was just starting to run for president.
Yeah. Like
So
there were whispers and rumors about it, but not quite yet.
yeah. And so I had a chance to ask like one good question. And my question was, if you had one plank, what would it be?
Mhm.
Without skipping a beat, he said programmable currency. As soon as you get that, all freedom is gone.
You're done. Yeah.
You have no more ability to really do anything, because ladies with scarves around their neck decide what you can and can't say, you know? I mean, it's pretty bad. No, seriously.
It's scary.
If this happens, or when this happens for Europe, your ability to protest anything that happens next is gone. You have to just go along with whatever the bureaucrats are up to. And by the way, Europe, as far as I can tell, is mostly run by non-elected people. You have all those technocrats in Brussels. They sort of get appointed and things happen, and then they all defer to the commission. We're just implementing what the commission said. And where did the commission get? Well, we appointed the commission, right? It's that same old story. We see it over and over and over again. They default to this sort of bureaucratic maze and say, well, what are you going to do? It's this inevitability. But the inevitability always ends up in this lady telling you what you can and can't do, or somebody like her.
Yeah. What can people do? Oh, P.S.
Well, I don't know, but Zulu says this.
In Sweden, people will welcome this. Is
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you saw that.
Okay, so somebody says my mic needs to be louder, so I just dialed it up. Give me that feedback any old time. So,
I mean, this is scary though. I mean, this is how things go sideways, right? Because if we do go that direction where we have CBDCs or ECBs or whatever, right? What are they going to resort to change that? It would be impossible. And you do have to kind of burn it all down. Like that's when everything about the internet has to go away to get rid of it at that point, right? I mean, there's nothing you can do. You're China at that point.
So it's not just this though. So Europe is descending into this totalitarian madness is the way I see it currently.
Okay.
And part of the problem for them is you see them steaming towards, they were all behind the whole creating the conditions for the Ukraine war to happen. Okay. We can say it was wrong for Putin to attack, but there were also reasons he attacked, and you can't ignore one of those without exploring the other, right? They kind of go together hand in hand. Europe doesn't want any part of that, but we're seeing some other stuff that's really, really dangerously bad in Europe generally and across a lot of their different cultures. So let me spell that out. So this is the setup for it. But by the way, the WEF, which is a lot of Europeans mostly.
Oh, great.
Yep.
We are the only ones smart enough to rule the world. Oh, by the way, since we spent hundreds of trillions more than we stole from you, you'll have to live in 15-minute cells with no cars, gas stoves, fossil fuels, meat, eggs, farms, pets, money, property, free speech, or travel. Plus, fight endless wars, take endless mRNA shots, be surveilled 24 hours a day, wear identical uniforms, and eat bugs, and we will be happy.
Yeah.
We'll be happy.
We will be happy. We will be happy. But there's, okay, so before I finish out like really my concern about the EU, I think this is part of here's an example of the source of the rage. This comes to us from inside the United States, okay? And this is a congressional hearing, and here we go.
I now recognize the representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ranking Member Keating, also wonderful.
Mr.
I'm
Chairman,
sorry.
could you repeat your introduction?
Oh, do you know who McBride is? McBride is the dude on the left that decided to become the dude on the right. Biological male, right? And then became a congressperson representing Delaware. And so what you're about to hear here is you listen carefully to how he's
I now
introduced.
recognize the representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Mr. McBride. So, oh no, the gauntlet's thrown. Uh-oh.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ranking Member Keating, also wonderful.
Mr.
I'm
Chairman,
sorry.
could you repeat your introduction again, please?
Yes, we have set the standard on the floor of the House, and I'm simply.
What is that standard, Mr. Chairman?
The
Would you
standard-
repeat what you just said when
I-
you introduced a duly elected representative from the United States of America? Please.
I will. The representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Mr. Chairman, you are out of order. Mr. Chairman, have you no decency? I
We
mean,
will- we will-
I've come to know you a little bit, but this is not decent.
We will continue this.
You
hearing.
will not continue it with me unless you introduce a duly elected representative the right way.
This hearing is adjourned.
Mhm.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
And this is what our tax dollars are getting wasted on.
Well,
Mm.
so
I mean, kind of.
I mean, this is what they're very angry about, which is we decided that you have to do something that we've decided that you have to do, which
Mhm.
is use these different pronouns that we've just sort of sprung on everybody, right?
Mhm.
And it doesn't matter that you can say you're free to do that. I'm
Mhm.
not gonna. That's unacceptable. You saw the anger. And by the way, alpha male or beta male, that guy who protested there, Evie, quick, you have to make a
Beta.
decision. Oh, beta, yeah, total beta dude. Which is, that is a mating strategy among beta males to, pretend they're adhering to the ideology more faithfully than the next. That's how you know they're worthy of your attention.
Your administrations. Yuck.
But this is where the anger is now, around things like this, right? And again, deflective behaviors. I think there's a lot to be really worried about.
Sorry.
I think
Somebody
there's
said the pufferfish, or
Where?
I guess I'm thinking of beta fish, pufferfish, but I'm thinking of the quintessential example of beta males,
which is
the
cuttlefish.
the cuttlefish.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. How about
Go check out the cuttlefish if you ever need a
Yeah.
good example
this one?
of what we mean. Which it's worse than beta, it's delta or gamma or something.
Yeah. I'll go with that. Anyway, so this is where the anger comes up now. Okay. And what's interesting to note is this. So check this out.
Every time I engage with an earnest Trump supporter, I always think I'm going to finally bridge some epistemic divide and really nail down why they disagree. And then every time after an hour, I'm like, oh, it's because they're stupid. It's because there are many facts they don't know.
Now, this isn't my experience with things. My experience is that actually people who are on the progressive side are often fact-free, context-free,
Mm-hmm.
lacking things. In fact, there's actually
It's
a lot
true.
of data around this now, which in response to this, Pascal Emmanuel Gobry said,
Regular reminder that every ideological Turing test study has shown that conservatives understand liberal viewpoints quite well, and liberals are incapable of understanding conservative viewpoints. We don't have to argue. This has been shown and reproduced empirically.
so that is the truth. And so
Yeah.
you have these people like Finnegan's Take going, I tried to talk to them, but they must be stupid because I couldn't understand their point of view. So I have to come to the conclusion that they're dumb, right?
I mean, it's on both sides, I just have to say. Like, there are people that support Trump that love him so much that they could never hear any criticism too.
Of course.
I
Of
mean,
course.
it's not, you can find, I know what you're saying though, I think.
But I'm seeing a lot of this. This is sort of the, we're smarter than thou, noblesse oblige. Like if it only weren't for all these toothless deplorables, Remember we
Mm.
were just at that party the other night and that woman came up and she's like, oh, all those Trump people. And I'm like, well, I voted for Trump. She's like, well, but they're also uneducated. I said, well, I have a PhD and an MBA. When she didn't have either of those things, right? So she kept trying to like put me in a box and she couldn't get me in the box,
You
Um,
should tell how that story actually started. It was more
Nah,
interesting that way.
It's a long story. Anyway, we're gonna move on. Grab
All
bag
right,
time.
grab bag.
Ready for some grab bag?
Is this ADD brain? Is that what this is? All
Yeah.
right.
So
Breaking. Do you need to give
we're gonna have to
context?
stop at several
Okay.
points along this.
You stop me. Maui police officer Chief John Pelletier, who gave the order to trap victims in the Lahaina fire, has now been named as a co-conspirator in the Diddy case. Pelletier also happened to be the incident commander during the Las Vegas shooting. Whoa.
Well, in that next paragraph. And then we'll stop
Pelletier
you.
forcibly took a Diddy victim at gunpoint from Vegas to California to be raped by Diddy by posing as a sheriff executing a fake warrant, according to the suit.
So there's a suit, right?
Holy crap.
And there's a victim, and they have a sworn affidavit. Now, maybe they're lying. We don't know. But
Right.
when you look at this, so
That's
think of the
unbelievable.
odds, though. We have this guy who was incident commander during the Las Vegas shooting, which if you haven't looked into it, folks, the Las Vegas shooting is not how they made it sound.
It's pretty messed up.
It's pretty messed up. Like there's a lot of things there that just aren't right. Guess what? It wasn't a lone gunman shooting from 350 yards away, 32 floors up with a bump stock, putting multiple rounds in individual victims at the wrong angle.
You better watch out. You're going to get yourself one of
It's
those
just-
little flags on the bottom of the post of this.
It's
which
just, I'm
says,
just saying, I'm a data guy. The data is all wrong. So imagine he's the incident commander during that. The whole thing's covered up. The investigation is botched. When did the police go in? Oops, we lost evidence. Forgot to take crime scene photos.
Yeah, it's
He's
pretty
incident
bad.
and then he goes from that to forcibly taking Diddy victims by posing as a sheriff
That is so
so they
sketchy.
can go be raped, right?
That's disgusting.
And then even after all those occur, he's still named chief of the Maui police, where if you saw the Lahaina fires, there was a whole group where people were trying to leave Lahaina to get out of the way of the fire, and the police had mysteriously set up these roadblocks and
I
turned
remember
them
that.
back.
I remember
You
that.
remember that?
Yeah, it was really awful.
Imagine the odds that the same guy happens to be involved in all three of those things, right? Are you getting a flavor?
Yeah,
here?
yeah. Well, I remember hearing this right at the beginning, and I didn't know how true it was.
Mhm.
I heard rumors about this guy and his connection. You know, it's like when certain people show up over and over again at these horrific events that
Yeah.
happen, you begin to question, you know, what's actually going on.
Well,
Wow.
this guy's one of them. And
Wow.
so now he's been named in this suit. So at any rate, this is something I think that we have to just sort of keep track of.
I would say so.
And by the way, where are the Diddy tapes?
You want me to finish reading this? Nah.
Nah,
All right.
nah, but it's
Grab
out there.
bag.
I just wanted people to be aware of it, part of the signal hour. This is good for me. I'm happy about this. Yay! No more paying for our own psyops. You have to pay for those psyops yourself, pharma.
Yeah. They're going to have to pay for grants on vaccine hesitancy,
They're axing
mRNA
grants.
vaccines in particular, because they're taking away the grants.
So you remember, you know,
Good.
I did a lot of COVID coverage. Most
Mhm.
people know that, but during it, we found out in early 2020, even before the vaccine itself had been approved, because the approval didn't come till December of 2020.
Mhm.
In June of 2020, they were running studies to find out how you could tweak messaging in various ways to nudge people,
That's
so to
right.
reduce vaccine hesitancy. And you did it by shaming them, ostracizing them,
Mhm.
telling them they were bad people, asking how much guilt they would feel if they killed grandma.
Right.
You know, did they want to feel stupid for being non-science? Because then you'd be excommunicated.
Mhm.
Your torch would be put out, and people wouldn't talk to you. You know,
Mhm.
on and on and on. So they were running psyops. Well, this is just saying, you know what? We're not paying for that psyop research anymore. Boom,
That's
done.
awesome. Yeah. Move reflects vaccine skepticism of Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy
Reflects
Jr.
vaccine skepticism.
Yeah, that's why.
That's it. He's saying, can we just stop running the studies on psyops on our own people? And they're like, oh, that's skepticism right there.
There's
I tell you,
something-
these people.
I know. There's something funny I sent you. I don't know if you got to see it, but somebody said, COVID is what made me do a swan dive off the Democratic ship. Even now, I'm still swimming away like an Olympian with great whites chasing after me. Love you lefties, but your unhealed trauma is about the most toxic shit I've ever experienced. It was just, it made me
Yeah.
laugh. Anyway,
Oh man, good
COVID
stuff.
brought it up.
And by the way, you see that thing I pulled up there?
Yeah.
It's from Tom Cairns. He sent something. He thought
Oh,
maybe
awesome.
you would like it, but I thought that might be something you could close with if you wanted to. But just
Sure.
take a look at that there.
Yeah, that would be great.
So when the time comes, we're not closing because I call this part, I knew it. I knew it. So I remember all these times when it looked like Biden was
Multiple
in the
people.
set of like a cheap studio, like you could see he was on like a little plastic chair during COVID.
Yeah.
And they had like a fake window behind him and they were trying to say he was in the Oval Office. I'm like, that's not the Oval
I
Office.
remember that.
Remember that?
Yeah, that was really weird.
Yeah.
There were things that did not add up and make sense there.
Yeah. So
So what happened?
so get this. This lady works for Trump and she found a room in the White House.
You guys, I just finished a show. Look at the room that they put me in. We're in Biden's fake Oval Office, everybody. And I've actually figured this out. I now know why. I now get it. Turn the camera around. There is a screen, teleprompter to the face. All I can say is the last administration was a disgrace.
Oh, gross. That is what it was.
I
So he
knew it.
That must have been satisfying finding that.
Yep. But
No.
the whole time I was like, this looks fake. It's fake. It's wrong. The chair is wrong. Everything's wrong. And it was so that they could have a teleprompter right there in front of him all the time because we knew,
Which did no good.
which did no good. Right. Oh, anyway.
What a mess.
Yep. Okay. And things are starting to break a little bit. I don't know if you've seen this one, Evie.
I don't think I have.
So this is on a talk show, right? Or a podcast. Why did I say
Okay.
talk show? Anyway,
Whose podcast?
I'm not sure. But I really liked what this guy with the slick back hair was saying. So here we
But
go.
Fauci took the pardon. Fauci could say, I don't want the pardon. I don't think I did anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But he took the pardon.
I don't blame anybody for taking the pardon.
I do, because now you're guilty. Because there are a lot of people that were on the January 6th committee that were offered a pardon. And they said no. They're like, I did my job. I was supposed to investigate this.
Mm-hmm.
I did what I was supposed to do. I don't want the pardon.
If you're Fauci, you're not taking a pardon?
What's in my arm, yo?
What's in your arm, not mine.
That's what I'm saying. What's in my arm, yo? Why are you taking a pardon? What's in my arm, yo?
I don't care.
What's in my arm?
I'm taking that part. I don't give a fuck.
If I put some shit in my arm, you're not allowed to get pardoned. You told me I need to put some shit in my arm. Now you can't go get pardoned. You gotta hold the weight of that decision. That's your job. What's in my arm, yo?
I mean,
what's about to come out?
You ain't wrong. Like it looks a suspect. It definitely looks crazy suspect.
I think it's because they lied about knowing it was a man-made virus, knowing it came from China, whatever. They were lying about the origins of it. That's what my first thought. Could be the vaccine too, but I tend to think they covered up when they knew where it was from.
You lie about one thing, you lie about the other. All of a sudden, you got to keep lying to keep up the lie. There's a lot of lies going on. What's in my arm, man? What is inside my arm?
But you good.
What's in my arm?
Way to stay on point. I
like
appreciate that. That was good, huh?
That was
Yo,
admirable.
what's in my arm, yo? All right. So this is going to connect now. This part here, this no grasp on reality. Mark Elias, just one of the most awful human beings out there, destroyed democracy, and then complained about how our democracy was being attacked. He's a Democratic lawyer, scumbag extraordinaire, just a terrible human being all the way around. And I'm going to subject everybody to listen to this because I had to hear it. So you're going to have to hear it.
Let's check it out.
All right, here we go. And again, I could have put this under the other section, Evie, which was, dude, that's not helping anything, right? But here he is trying to, this is the best they've got. They're a vicious attack scumbag on MSNBC, because of course he's not going to get a seating anywhere else at this particular point in time, particularly after Act Blue was shown to be a giant corrupt scam and everything scattered like rats on a sinking ship.
Oh, that was bad.
Yeah,
we should
wasn't it?
talk about that sometime.
Yeah, I know that was pretty bad. So at any rate, let's listen in to Mark doing his best.
I've been doing a lot of reading in the last few weeks and months.
Oh, good. We're glad. That's cool. That's nice. When you're in prison, you'll have time to do a lot more reading.
You know who instituted a system of justice like this? The Nazis. I mean, Hans Frank, who was the Nazis' head lawyer, changed essentially the German legal code and said that no longer were.
So this is pure comedy at this point. You know who else used butter on their toast? Nazis.
This reminds me of, hold on.
Is that book on his shelf? everybody disagrees with me as a Nazi. I think I see it there. It's right behind his bald head. Keep going.
Lawyers to advocate for their clients, they were to advocate for the state. And that if they advocated for their clients adverse to the state, they themselves were committing a crime. And that transformed the legal establishment to pave the way years later for what became the Holocaust.
Oh, okay, hop, skip, and a jump. So see the slippery slope we're on here, Evie, is that some people are going to do some things that are going to scare him, so that's going to lead to the Holocaust. Meanwhile, this is the gentleman who penned the legal standing for how they were going to charge attorneys general across states. And 75 were charged in various ways because of his actions. This is Mr. Legal Lawfare himself. And now that the mirror might turn around even slightly, now he's freaking out, and he wants to let you know that if you dare to do what he did to other people, that would be like committing the Holocaust. It's just
what did he charge them with? Sorry.
You name it. It was just if they weren't exactly what he's talking about, if you aren't prosecuting the exact intent of the law of the United States, which is you have to arrest people for praying outside abortion clinics, you have to charge people who whistle blew about doctors doing things they shouldn't have done with transgender surgeries. If you didn't prosecute what the administration wanted you to prosecute, then you would get charged. So that's exactly what he's saying the other team is about to do. It's pure projection. He represents the worst of the worst, absolute scumbag, does stuff and then screams like bitterly when he thinks that that same thing might be done to him, even though that same thing isn't being done. Pure projection.
Oh, for sure. Look at it says democracy dispenser.
Defender. I see defender.
Sure? Okay.
You know who else has a legal system like this? Russia.
Oh,
right. In Russia today, if you are a lawyer and you defend clients that are considered to be enemies of Vladimir Putin and you make arguments that displeases the regime, you yourself face liability. And so, look, the American legal system is far away from Nazi Germany and is far away from Putin's Russia. But I do think we need to recognize that an independent judiciary only works with an independent legal system. I've been doing a lot of reading.
Okay. So just to be clear about this, so now we can turn back to Europe's frictionless slope, right? Because we've set the stage here across these points here. So he's saying, "Oh my God, with Nazis, would you believe Russia?" Like that's all they have. Like this is their arguments have been boiled down to they've decided they have two things that stuck at the wall. They threw an entire buffet
of spaghetti
plus veggies against the wall, and only two things stuck: Nazis and Russia. So those are the two things they think have traction still.
Right.
It's like, oh my God, our legal system could be like Nazi Germany's.
They're so toned. They've been going with that forever. They've been trying to paint Trump as Hitler.
Yeah.
They've been trying to talk about Musk like that. Remember when he did his quote salute that they considered to be. I mean, they've been harping on this forever.
I know. So agreed. The Yahtzee stuff is so played out. Yeah. This is absurd. How absurd? It's kind of almost like North Korea level absurd.
Brand of Democratic.
It's crazy.
Agreed.
But you know what we do on the Signal Hour? Context. We need some context. Let's get some context here. So let's turn to the UK right now, because he could have said, "Oh my God, we might become as bad as Nazi Germany or Russia."
Okay.
But you know what would be even worse? Becoming as bad as the UK.
Oh, Lucy Connolly posted something nasty on X and then deleted it. Got 2 years and 7 months in prison. Mike Amesbury, Labor, beat up a member of the public and gets 10 weeks in prison.
Yeah, so this video, which I didn't bring, but that video on the right there under Sky News, that's a guy just wailing away on somebody. He's a Labor MP.
Oh my
He's beating the crap out of somebody who's on the ground. He's just clubbing him in the head. He's just really assaulting him, wailing away. Right.
And this
Beta
poor
male
girl
over on the side, reaching in, weekly to say, "Oh, maybe. Oh, if I put hands on you, will you stop?"
And this girl just is a keyboard warrior and gets in trouble.
Okay, she posted something nasty on X and then deleted it, and then got 2 years and 7 months in prison.
Oh, I'd be so upset if that happened to me. That's
You think?
awful.
Oh, I'd be pretty bitter. How about this?
Insane. this young man's going to prison for slightly over 3 years for making a satirical post about the unrest in the UK. He copied and pasted words said by Lucy Connolly, a Tory councillor's wife, who got arrested for her remarks on X to make a point about two-tier policing. He even points out in his immediate follow-up posts that he's not being serious. No matter, the court found him guilty. Apparently, humor and satire are now illegal in the UK if a judge decides that you broke the law.
Yep.
Wow.
That's the legal system in the UK right now.
Wow. Okay. I'm sorry, UK.
Yep.
I'm sad for you.
Well, that's why we didn't take a trip to the UK. I mean,
I
based
know,
on
for
my
our
Twitter
honeymoon.
posting, I can't go there. Are you
No, I know.
crazy? Because look at this guy.
What?
Look, he just shouted something.
You're not English anymore at police, and he got 20 months in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Hold a racist sign at a vile hate march that supports prescribed terrorists. Cleared.
Just a bit of banter.
Just a bit of banter.
Yeah, because he yelled at police, "You're not English anymore." 20 months in prison.
That's unbelievable.
Right? And this Hussein lady is holding up a
Pro-Palestinian protest.
yeah, and and they called it a lighthearted piece of political banter. Okay,
Unbelievable.
carrying on.
A growing number of people are in prison for speech crimes. Thousands of social media users have been arrested. UK prison spaces were emptied out in 2023, and they've already been refilled, many with speech offenders. Yes, people are serving time for tweets. And below,
This man.
jailed in UK for commenting on Facebook post about riots. 31-year-old Billy Thompson was sent to prison for 12 weeks after he replied, "Filthy bastards," on a post about the police issuing a dispersal order to try and prevent protests from becoming violent.
That's
Wow.
it. That's it. Filthy
Wow.
bastards. 12 weeks
Unbelievable.
in prison. Okay.
And
So
this has been going on for a while. This is August 2024.
Oh, yeah,
so
no.
who knows what's happened since
it's actually
then?
it's actually
It's probably
thousands at this
worse.
point. So here, just in 2022.
Okay. Russia jailed 134 people in 2022 for illegal speech, and England jailed 1,580
That would
for
be called
illegal speech.
at least one order of magnitude worse. Right?
Hmm.
That's bad.
okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, but no, we could be like Nazi
Russia.
Germany says, "Oh no, Russia, but Nazi Germany." Oh, what about Germany?
Huh. You mean this? In Germany, thousands of people are investigated or arrested yearly for speech not inciting imminent violence. Over 9,000 hate speech cases in 2020 alone.
Lower Saxony, look at that, 3,500 annually.
That's crazy. In Germany, thousands of people are investigated or arrested yearly for speech not inciting imminent violence, or 9,000 hate speech cases in 2020 alone, with units like Lower Saxony handling 3,500 annually. It's pretty bad if you value unrestricted expression, less so if you prioritize social harmony.
So back to, Mark Elias, like, oh, we could become like Nazi Germany. Like worse, we could become like Germany or the UK.
Gosh.
These are
I'm
places
so
where
glad I don't live there.
I know, me too. That's part of the frictionless slope that they're on, right? They're going to have. So can you imagine Germany plus their hate speech laws plus a CBDC? It's all over.
Right.
For anybody who has a differing thought, the only thoughts will be approved thoughts, right? So NBC's like,
Plus,
oh, RFK is just, he's just a vaccine skeptic, right? Well, we're about to find out what happens when that enforced it. Like, let's imagine that we had a CBDC here in the United States,
Mhm.
and that the vaccine maximalists who just believe it's their right to jab as many things into your kid as possible. You have no autonomy, no decision making. They just want to put all that in your arm. And by the way, if you say anything about that, your currency, you get
Goes to
automatically
zero,
fined. It
or
goes
you're
to
in
zero.
prison.
You can't spend it more than 5 miles away from your house. It doesn't work for donuts anymore. It's programmable. So who knows what the things are that they could do with it.
Yeah, this is really gross. And they're going to be able to track every human animal they want to because of the phones that we carry.
Mhm.
They'll know where you go and who you visit with. And, oh, you went over to Chris Martinson's house, did you?
Mhm.
That'll be, they'll fine you and take
Ding.
it out of your account. You don't even have a say. Yeah, this is gross. I'm worried about the people that are there. I'm worried about how they're going to communicate with each other, and I hope they find a way. People always find a way to talk with each other and to figure out what to do about this. This is a disaster.
Well, it is, and we have here Daniel Maxfield is actually. This is something, Daniel, that I've talked about extensively behind the scenes, which is, look, what happens when you finally decide as a people? Let's imagine something. Let's imagine that you hold a point of view and you could prove it that says our elections were rigged, right? I believe they have rigged elections in Canada right now. I can't explain Mark Carney any other way. We have obviously rigged elections here, and we're going to figure that out if we ever get rid of or look into what we've already looked into. We already know we have highly insecure voting machines that deliver statistically improbable, if not impossible, results.
Oh, it's so evident.
So it's clear, right? Okay. So let's imagine you decide I'm not fairly represented. And worse, my representatives have said, no, we are going to fight to the death for our right to defraud you. And when we're caught, we're not going to pay back. And we're not going to give you any of that money back. And we're just going to continue that fraud, right? So what could you possibly do under those circumstances? I think a tax revolt where people basically say, look, I'm not participating, right? You know, that's got to be...
It's legitimate at that point.
That is, I mean, of the things you could do, that would be a thing.
Unless they've already rolled out the CBDCs and then the ECDs, and then you have no way to keep them from taking it out of your account.
Yep.
Those bastards.
Yeah.
Carla, the cooking CEO, says, I've been to Cuba, China, Russia. Family always had to remind me to keep my mouth shut. I'm staying away from all places. Very sad. Thank you for your contribution to our show. Appreciate that.
And Funky Wanderer.
Definitely rigged elections in Canada for a long time now. I imagine that's true because I have no idea how anybody would want Trudeau to have been in there. And it's shocking me because it seemed like Canada was kind of turning the corner with him
getting
leaving.
rid of Trudeau finally.
Yep, and ready to kind of move on with things, and then it feels like a step backward. But
well, so I mean, most mysteriously to me, so the Premier of Ontario, right, Doug Ford, big portly guy. I know him as Strip Club Doug because you know he had a shady past and was caught.
Checkered history.
Cocaine and strippers. It was a thing, right? But anyway, so I guess he cleaned himself up. But this is a guy. But regardless, he was the man in charge of sending the police in to attack the truckers. He was the one who locked people down. He did all of that.
Wow.
And Canadians just looked past all of that and said, yeah, this is the guy we want. It's either that or their elections aren't exactly on the up and up.
I don't
One
think
of these
they're on the
two
up
things
and
is
up.
true. Or Canadians have just lost the plot line. And well, some people like being subjugated. They like being, you know, caught in a system.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, it might be 50-50 like it is here. I mean, there's at least half of our country is totally believing something in opposition to what we think.
Well, I have a hypothesis. It's going to offend a few of you. If you have the Queen's and now the King's face on your money, you're probably suffering from an unusual case of
Stockholm syndrome.
Mass psychosis.
Or mass psychosis.
Mass formation psychosis. Right? Think about it. Australia. Yeah. Canada, New Zealand. All these places in the UK, of course. Just they really insist on being subjugated under their monarchical sort of leadership. It's a crazy thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe they should put different iconography on their money.
Speaking of the whole mass formation, I haven't heard anything from Matthias Desmond. I'm sure has been tracking everything that's going on with this, what he calls mass formation and this mind virus that seems to be sweeping across the world at present. Have you heard anything from him in the recent
I
past?
have not talked to him in a few months.
I'd be curious to see what he has to say about, you know, what
he was getting very spiritual.
Things are happening.
Late.
Oh yeah,
yeah, like really seeing this in terms of good and evil.
Oh yeah,
as an explaining function.
That's interesting.
Which brings us back to the SNL skit, right? No, we're seriously. What is that?
Spiritual battle.
Like, anyway. Yeah.
That's what we believe, at least.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't have to always be monarchies. It's Swedish monarchs. So I meant to say the English king and queen. I should say the English king and queen on your coinage. But Sweden also is going through its own problems right now and seems to have lost some of its thread. on some of these things. So yeah. Evie, I liked this right here in highlighted part.
Oh yeah, I've got something too. So I don't know how much time we have. Do I have time to read both?
Sure.
All right. So the first thing I want to read is from Tom. Tom Cairns, our friend. The people who I most respect are those who have suffered.
He didn't, just to be clear, he didn't write this.
He didn't write this. This is from Tish Harrison Warren.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. The people who I most respect are those who have suffered, but did not numb their pain, who faced their darkness. In the process, they have become beautifully weak, not tough as nails, not bitter or rigid, but men and women who bear vulnerability with joy and trust. They are almost luminescent, like a paper lantern, weak enough that the light shines through. That's beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful?
I like that.
Yeah, I thought you would like that.
The thing I wanted to read is actually another one.
Thanks for that, Tom.
Thank you for sending that our way. If you do have a piece of poetry or something that you feel is significant and important to you that you want us to share, please do drop it in the comments or send it to us at Peak Prosperity. We'd love to incorporate it into our show. And the thing I want to read is from a friend of ours, Norm, who we know real well. And this is in his book and called The Monk Who Howled Like a Wolf. This says, it's called Acceptance. In my first life, I lived in a land, and this is a little bit of a story, so just settle in for a minute. My first life, I lived in a land turned upside down by war and bloodshed, and all I could think about was food, food, food. In my second life, I wore the orange robes of a celibate monk. There was always enough to eat, but all I could think about was sex, sex, sex. In my next life, I lived in a land warmed with a brilliant yellow sun. I had so much food and sex that I never knew want for those things, but all I could think about was money, money, money. In my next life, money came easily to me in a green countryside where I kept a shop in a small town and traded across the waters for fine things to sell for even more money. But I cared for no one, and no one cared for me. All I thought of in my elegant home was love, love, love. In my next life, I had a doting husband and many children. I lived in a cottage in the wind-swept cliffs above a blue sea. I was never without the comfort of family, but I yearned for the talent to create pictures as pleasing as the landscapes around me. In my next life, I was a famous artist in oil and watercolor. I lacked for nothing, but still something was missing. This time, my restless quest went inwards. I spent this whole life in a search for wisdom, wisdom, wisdom. In my last life, I was an eccentric genius of a woman living alone and wearing purple. I had all I wanted of food, sex, money, love, creativity, and wisdom. All I wanted now was to be with God.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thanks,
So
Norm.
for everybody listening and watching this, please, yes, keep all that in mind. Grow some food. There's some real tough times coming as far as I'm concerned. And that's what we do at Peak Prosperity. If you only know us through the Signal Hour, come by peakprosperity.com. And we talk about resilience, 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 because wow, there's some crazy stuff coming. I think Trump is here to perform a role, and that role is no different than a wrecking ball. And we're going to see a lot of wrecking happening. It needed to happen. I'm a big fan of it. I would think it the sooner the better. Rip the Band-Aid off early, not later, all of that. But it's going to create some hardship, some difficulty for those who don't see it coming, for those who are
That's right.
unprepared.
Well, we
mentally
still have to
unprepared.
take responsibility for our own personal lives.
You still do, but particularly for those who are in the role of provider, protector, you got families, you got loved ones, you gotta, this is something. So that's really the bigger work. And the Signal Hour here is really about just understanding tracking the noise and the signal so that we can understand where are we in this story.
And being together. We
And
have
being
each
together.
other.
We're closer to the end of this story than the beginning in terms of
Yeah.
the change. Like we had a time, it's going to be a whole new era. So it's the beginning of the end, right? Rather than the end of the beginning.
That's true.
So here
That's
we are.
scary. That's true.
Yeah.
But it is good to share that with people. Like when you're all alone and you're feeling isolated, it's harder to look at these topics and get excited, but it does give you a lot of hope to know that you're not alone. So,
absolutely. So with that, thank you very much for being here with us today, everyone. We've really enjoyed spending this time with you. Please come by peakprosperity.com or check me out on Twitter at Chris Martinson and
and me,
yeah,
and Evie,
and Evie.
Thanks for being here with us. It's always a pleasure, and we look forward to joining you next week.
You're on Twitter too.
I am. I don't even. What's at Econo
Chick?
Chick spelled CHIC, I think, right?
No, okay. I think
Is
I don't
there
know.
a K?
Econo Chick. You'll find her.
Anyway,
She's
yeah,
on
you
there.
can
All
find
right.
me if you want.
With that, bye for now, everybody. So good being here with you. We'll see you next time.